Today's episode has been brought to you by OfferingTree, my favorite all-in-one platform for yoga teachers who want to build a website or schedule classes or share all of their offerings online, anything from courses to memberships. And guess what? If you want to do all of this, which I know a lot of you are creating things like this online, your website, you want to book people in, you want students to be able to purchase your online courses and offerings and classes, make sure to check out OfferingTree. And we have a special discount for you if you go to offeringtree.com/Shannon. And today's episode is also brought to you by Yoga Teacher Conf. This is happening April 22nd to 24th in Denver, Colorado, and I am so excited. I am going to be there meeting with our podcast listeners, doing some interviews, teaching, learning, and connecting. I cannot wait. If you are going to attend, or if you want to check out the virtual option as well, because I just heard about that, make sure to go over to yogateacherconf.com. That's yogateacherconf.com. Hello and welcome to the Connected Yoga Teacher Podcast. If you are brand new, I'm excited that you're here. And if you're a returning listener, thank you once again for hanging out. I'm your host, Shannon Crow. I use she, her pronouns. This podcast is being recorded on Anishinaabeg, Odawa, and Mississauga land, and I am learning more about how the Indigenous people here of Turtle Island lived and cared for this land well before my ancestors came here. Today's random fact about me is that I used to play hockey. And I played hockey before there were any girls' teams in my town, in my small town of Bayfield, Ontario. And that was fine. As I was little, it was fine. I played all the way up until the end of elementary school. And then I wanted to try out for the high school team. And my mom told me that I wasn't allowed to. So what did I do? I snuck my hockey bag on the bus and I went and tried out for the team anyway. And I really wanted to continue to play in high school. And guess what? My cousin and I both tried out for the team. She's an amazing player. I was just, able to skate and knew the rules of hockey. We both got told that we were not allowed to be on the team because it would be too distracting to have girls on the team. So that was the end of that. Those were different times. Different times for sure. I don't think that would go over so well nowadays. So that's my random fact. I'm also a mom of 3, a yoga teacher, podcaster, and founder of Pelvic Health Professionals. And this podcast was created for you so that each and every week, as you're busy doing all of the things of being a yoga teacher and an entrepreneur, you can come here and connect to the information and inspiration that's going to support you. Because I get it, connected yoga teachers, it's busy. You have a lot of things to think about and consider. You're looking at continuing education, running a business, your own yoga practice and self-care, as well as caring for your yoga students and possibly other people in your life. I'm excited about today's episode because we are talking about YouTube. We haven't talked about YouTube on the podcast yet, and I actually just had to go back and check because we've been 5 years plus of the podcast, and I was thinking, how is it that we have not talked about YouTube? So here we are today. We are going to talk about this huge search engine, YouTube, and talk with video coach Victoria Levitan, who's going to talk to us about how to optimize our YouTube videos. This was a live that we did a while back when we were doing our live show. We've put that on pause for a minute, but we're bringing it here on the podcast so that you can listen on the go. Also, the fun thing is that when we were doing this live, some people could submit their questions into the comments, so the questions are really suited to questions you might have about starting your own YouTube channel or optimizing it so that you can get students signing up for your offerings. Victoria has over 4 years of video marketing experience and currently teaches small business owners how to create videos, use YouTube to grow their business, and what to say on camera so that it converts their viewers. So that means, you put the video out there, you put all the work into it, and then how are you going to get paid for that time? Victoria aspires to help people film videos that cultivate human connection and stand out with ease. She explains why yoga teachers should be on YouTube and how to get started, beginning with how to set up your YouTube channel. She also shares tips on setting up lighting, what to include in the video description, and how to get people to go from watching your video to signing up for your yoga class, your course, or your membership. We also chat about that important call to action in your video and how to promote the video once you've created it, not just once. That's a key thing. There's lots of information packed into this interview today with Victoria. I definitely learned a lot, and then I took it one step further. I actually signed up for a YouTube audit from Victoria. I'll make sure that we link to that in the show notes because Victoria offered this to all of our connected yoga teacher listeners. It is a paid offering, but I'm telling you that she had so many tips and ideas. So in that, she did a video for me explaining different things about my channel and showing me how to look up different metrics and how to add different things just to tweak it and make it better. Now, before we get right into this interview today, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, OfferingTree, because, oh my goodness, connected yoga teachers, you know that moment where you go to schedule something and you're doing this back and forth emailing with whatever it is you're trying to do? I'm so glad that I've signed up to work with OfferingTree because it has saved me a pile of time this month. I put an offering together and I love that people can just click, sign up, pay, and get all of the automated emails that come out. I don't have to worry, like, did I send that Zoom link? Did I give them the information? Did so-and-so pay? It's all there. It's all automatic. And there's none of that back and forth that happens like, what time is it? What time zone is it? It's all in the person's time zone that is signing up for the offering, which is so cool. I love it that people go to the website and go to sign up for something. It shows up in their time zone and they don't have to do the time zone math. So if you are putting offerings online and if you are struggling with a software system that you have, or maybe you don't have one at all, make sure to check out OfferingTree and use our discount code. If you go to offeringtree.com/Shannon, they've been so great to give all of our listeners a discount. Alrighty, let's dive in and meet Victoria and talk about how we can use YouTube to get students to sign up for our offerings. Hey and welcome. Hi, Victoria.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
We are going to dive in and talk all about YouTube in a moment. But before we do, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, who is OfferingTree. Victoria, do you know about OfferingTree at all?
I've heard you talk about it, but I'd love for you to paint a bigger picture of like what exactly OfferingTree is.
Yeah. So they're a company that I really have gotten to know over the past couple of years. And I've been following them, and they're doing so many amazing things for yoga teachers, but also health and wellness providers. And really, any small business could use them for a quick website. Or now they do so many things, like they do scheduling, they do where you can put your courses online with them, they have Zoom integration. So it works really well for yoga teachers who have, say, a weekly class and then a course as well, or just weekly classes, or all of the different offerings that yoga teachers do. And it also integrates with YouTube. So I'm excited that you get to know about them. And if anyone is looking at OfferingTree, we also have a discount code, offeringtree.com/Shannon, and that will get you a small discount as well. All right, so let's dive in. Victoria, tell our listeners, what is the work that you do and who do you do it for?
So I'm a YouTube and video coach, and I work primarily with small business entrepreneurs who really want to uplevel their video strategy in their business. Either they've already started creating some videos, or they want to get on YouTube, and they really just want to uh, get more eyes on their videos or on their business in general and turn their viewers into customers. So I really help them figure out a strategy on like how to show up on video and YouTube in order to translate them into customers.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, we've done some episodes on some podcast episodes, and I'll try and link to those on, what do we do when we don't feel confident to show up on video, or exactly what you're saying, like how to get more eyes on. Is there anything that you can say to those of us who feel like, "Oh gosh, I'm afraid to, hit the publish button on YouTube," or we're trying to figure out what camera to have or what editing software, like just that beginning, anything to
Right.
help us with that?
Well, I would say, first of all, it's totally normal to feel that way. I felt that way. I remember clicking publish on my first video and I was terrified. I was like, oh my gosh, people are going to see this. So, first of all, it's completely normal to feel that way. I think you just have to start and just upload. I think once you start creating that first video, you realize it's not as scary as you thought it might be. Um, and then I also think that, when you one thing that I do with camera confidence, I kind of start talking out loud prior to filming. And so I kind of get my telephone voice, where you're a little bit more stronger. You're not like you put your shoulders back and you just kind of move your body a little bit. And I think that automatically gives you some confidence. You're like, yeah, like I'm going to hype myself up. I'm going to listen to a song and get out there.
Okay, and I just wanna say, like, you look very comfortable when you do videos, so for you to say, "This is totally normal, we all feel this way," thank you for addressing that because I think that's super important. So the other thing I hear from yoga teachers a lot is, "Oh, there's so much free yoga on YouTube, so why? Why would I use YouTube to try and get paying people? Like, it just looks like everyone's giving yoga away for free on there." What do you say to that?
Well, I think firstly, I think specifically with yoga, everything is it's a very personal experience. Getting instruction from someone when it comes to like body movement and like just exercise in general and just something for the mind and body. So I think everyone always resonates differently with different people. So from just a standpoint that there's so much out there, well, there's a lot of different people. There's a lot of different people that will resonate with you, and you have to put yourself out there in order to find those people. But from a more strategic level, YouTube ultimately is a search engine. So even if you're like, oh, there's so many yoga videos out there, well, look at it from a strategic standpoint. Uploading to YouTube is going to help grow your search engine optimization. And we can talk more about that, what that means, and how you can actually utilize that to the best of your ability. But I recommend that every business should have a YouTube channel just because it helps you grow in search. And don't we all want to be found online, especially if we're trying to grow our online businesses or online yoga memberships and courses?
I love how you say this that it's this personal thing. And if we take it away from yoga, I think of when I have a tech challenge, I automatically, or let's say I've been learning how to make, I feel like I'm late on the train on this, but I've been learning how to make sourdough. And you go to different videos and you just connect with one person more than someone else. And that is exactly what happens with yoga as well. We know that as we follow more people, we think, oh, yeah, I like how they instruct this, or I like what they're sharing. And I love how you're saying it's a search engine. So let's say someone's thinking, oh gosh, I'm having trouble sleeping. I'm going to search yoga for sleep. And a whole bunch of YouTube videos will come up, but you're right that we look for teachers who we connect with. One of our listeners says, "Hi, I'm glad you're sharing this information. I finally realized that I need to assimilate and get a YouTube channel, and I have no idea how." So, Victoria, what would you say if someone has zero YouTube channel right now? Where do we start? How do we get started?
Well, I would first just go to youtube.com and create an account. And I was going to talk about at the end. I do have a YouTube jumpstart guide that kind of talks you through how to set it up and like do all the things there. But I would just start a channel on YouTube and then just start uploading your first video and then filling in the settings. And I think as a first video, if you're thinking about the first video you should upload, I would always go with a topic that you can really easily talk about so that you're not going to be as nervous filming it because you're already really confident in giving that answer.
Right. Yeah, and I would say start with a question that your students have, or maybe your students really liked a pose that you were teaching in class, and you could do that. Tell us about your quick start guide. I know that you said that you were going to wait until the end, but let's do that now.
Yeah, so I have a YouTube jumpstart guide on my website. It's a completely free PDF that basically talks you through how to set up your channel, but it also talks through the anatomy of YouTube and how YouTube works as a platform. And then it kind of helps you plan out the first couple of videos and helps you jumpstart your YouTube channel. That's pretty self-explanatory with the verbiage there. But yeah, so that's kind of what it all entails.
Okay, so they would go to victorialevitan.com and they can find it right there.
Yes, there's a button right at the top.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also our listeners and viewers could go to find you on YouTube as well.
Yes.
And you share all kinds of tips and tricks on there.
Yes, I share all types of videos, YouTube related, video related, small business, like how video integrates into your small business. Yeah, so you can all find that there.
That's amazing. All right. That was a really good question. Yoga Truly, thanks for asking that. Emily says, hi, Victoria. Hi, Shannon. And someone else here is saying, please talk about lighting options. Yes, I know natural lighting is best, but it's not always practical. Nicole, thank you for this question. It's getting darker here in Canada. Our days are getting shorter. And so this is a great question. What do you say about lighting, Victoria?
Well, first of all, I agree that natural lighting isn't very practical all the time. And I currently have my softboxes on, which is why I look nicely lit, even though it's very gloomy outside here. And yeah, so I recommend getting some softbox lighting if you have the space for it. I mean, I know they're kind of bigger, but you can compress them down if you don't have the space to keep them up all the time. And I just get affordable ones on Amazon. You don't have to break the bank with that. I know there's also people who like ring lights. And to me, ring lights are great when you're doing sit down videos because it obviously will light your face and do that. But with softbox lighting, especially if you're doing a yoga video, you want to light up the whole room a little bit more and just have a broader light everywhere. So I typically will put one light on either side of me. So you never want to put the video or the light right in front of you. You want to always have it to the side.
Okay, that's really good to know. We also have an article, and I'll try and grab the link, all about audio, like different microphones that yoga teachers use, different lighting, and also the tech, like all the tech, what to record on, the video, the lighting. So I'll grab a link to that. Connected Yoga Teachers, when Victoria and I did this interview live, we were using video and I showed my lights that Sean and I have in our office here. So I record podcasts in here, he teaches yoga in here, and we love these lights because they don't take up too much space. So I'll make sure to link to those in the show notes and put the name there so that you can find them really easily. To find the show notes, go to theconnectedyogateacher.com/263 or go to theconnectedyogateacher.com and use the search there. It's so great. You can type in lighting and you will see a full article where we link to audio, lighting, and video equipment. Okay, let's get to a great question that one yoga teacher who was watching live submitted. Emily is saying, what can you recommend regarding the video description? What's most important here?
I love this question because the video description box is probably my favorite place on YouTube. So what I would recommend including there is, first of all, go into your upload settings defaults because you can default your description box links. So I know this sounds very technical, but basically you can just put in your evergreen website link, your sales page to your course or sales page to your membership or to your online classes. You just want to put in those evergreen links where people can connect with you. And so that when you put them into the upload default, that means every time you upload a new video, they're automatically already in there. You don't have to add them in every single time. So that makes just life a little bit easier. And yes, I would put in all your links where you want people to connect with you. And then specifically, if you're, depending on the video, I'll adjust some of the links. So sometimes I'll record a video where I'll say, oh, I filmed this previous video that I'll have linked down below. So then I'll manually go in and add like another video that I filmed last week that is related to this new video. So you just always want to provide as many resources as you can, because people do expand that description box and people do click into them and people do buy from those links. Eventually they might sign up for your email list or join one of your classes.
I need to take notes on this because we do these lives and I don't go back and do the description, and we could do so many things with them. We could link back to the podcast episode, the edited version, any of the links. Okay, so that gives us a bit of homework. All right. Someone else was saying, I'd love to piggyback on the question about the lighting and ask about audio. So I have put a link to the article, but I don't know if you have suggestions, Victoria, of what can we do as we're moving and teaching for audio?
Right. So I would recommend getting a lavalier mic.
What do you think that yoga teachers could be doing to really get people to watch our YouTube video and then sign up for our paid offering? Because really, we don't want to just be creating free videos and not get paid for that time.
Well, there's a couple of things. One of the first things I would recommend is, one thing you have to keep in mind is that most people don't watch videos until the end. So when we're talking about call to actions, you want to start with a call to action at the beginning section of your video. So it's the first thing that you're going to say right out of the gates, obviously, but you're going to start by, hey, we're going to do this movement. We're going to do this type of workout today. I'm super excited to get started. And before we get started, you're basically just going to insert your call to action at that point, because that way people can check out the description box where you'll have a link to whatever you're promoting, and people are already more aware of what you offer. And I think it's just about talking about the things you offer earlier in the video. And then there's just that repetition, because, there's this sales psychology that you need to hear something 7 times before you take action. So you just have to get into a habit of always talking about the things that you offer. And it can be very casual. It doesn't have to be, salesy or anything. It's just like, hey, by the way, I have a membership or I have an online class. You can sign up down below, but let's dig into this. And also maybe sometimes teasing an element of, we go deeper in my online classes. We have more time to adjust things specifically for you, like kind of talking about the benefits of like why they should be joining a paid online class.
This makes complete sense. And I have a question about it. So what you're saying, just to recap, is we get on, like, let's say we're doing like yoga for sleep. Plus we have like a 6-week series in our back pocket that's all on yoga for sleep. So we say, okay, today we're going to address this one pose that's really great before you sleep. And also, if you want more of this, I have this 6-week series. It fits in really organically.
Mm-hmm.
How often do we do that? That's my question, because do we do that in every single video?
Well, I assume that not every single video of yours is about sleep. So I would put it where it makes sense, because obviously your call to action is going to change depending on the season that you're in with your business, like what you're currently trying to push in terms of sales or marketing efforts. But yeah, I would definitely, if you're doing sleep videos, plug it in every video, or if you're trying to grow your email list and you have a sleep freebie, then I would talk about that. So just depends.
Right. Okay. This is really great. And I'm also thinking that our call to action might be sign up for my email because I'm sending this thing out, or sign up for my Facebook group, or it can be many other things, that call to
Mhm.
action. Are there some calls to action that you really like to use to build a business?
Well, it's always nice to first offer something for free where people can get to know you a little bit more. I definitely think there's a time and place to say, "Hey, sign up for this course," if you're doing a launch period or you're really trying to drive sales to your course or programs. But I definitely always like to say, "Hey, I have a free resource for you," because I think that's just really nice because you're coming from a place of like, I have a free value for you that I think is going to really help you. So you can grab that down below in the description box. One thing that I always like to do, which is just a little tip, I always like to point down below with my fingers, like physically, because people forget sometimes that they can click to expand the box. So it's just another thing that I like to do.
Okay. This is so good. So that's one thing. We can do that call to action, knowing that people aren't always watching right until the end. What other things help to convert someone from watching a YouTube video to signing up for something?
Well, another thing that I recognize a lot with my clients is that you should promote your videos more than once because, again, it goes back to that repetition of people need to hear it or see it a couple of times before they realize, oh, I should probably check this out. I should probably watch this video. So I think especially when you're just starting out or you're getting back into a routine with regular videos, you kind of have to prime your audience to watch you on video. So you just have to get the wheels turning. You got to push the wagon up, so you got to have those, get those wheels turning for people to start recognizing you as a person that they can watch on video and as a person that is delivering valuable free content. And then they're like, wow, she's doing all these videos and teaching me all these yoga poses. And I'd really like to dive deeper with her. So it kind of just gets their wheels turning of how they perceive you. And then they would take action from there.
Okay, this is really important because we could be creating videos, on a consistent basis and then not be telling people to go and check them out. Very important. And to do it over and over again, because I know when I'm on Instagram and someone says, check out my YouTube video, I'm like, it's gonna take some time for me to go and check it out. Jennifer says, hi from Florida. When recording a video, do you record on Zoom and upload it onto YouTube? Can you record straight onto YouTube?
So you can certainly record on Zoom and upload it to YouTube. I have clients do that. I believe, I don't know if you can record on YouTube. I know you can edit on YouTube. So, but either way, even if they have the option of recording straight on YouTube, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that because I don't know how well the quality would be in the file. So I think recording on Zoom is fine.
Yeah, this is such a good question. And we did an episode as well with Dominique. I'll try and find a link to that. Dominique walked us through how she has taken her setup and slowly added different things to the point where it's uploaded and it's ready to go. And I cannot remember how she did it, but she walked us through step by step. So I'll make sure I do that. Also, here's a question that I'm just thinking of. I think we can get really overwhelmed and caught up in the tech, the audio, the video. Uh, what about when that starts to get really overwhelming? Like, how can I, upload this and edit it? And do you have some tips when we're just starting out or just getting back to our channel?
I think it's important not to get caught up in that personally, because I think we can look that as a detractor of not doing it. And again, I have been there. I have researched all the amazing cameras that are on, that are available and upping my camera game to make myself feel better about my own content or, anything like that. But it really is just about putting yourself out there. And I think that when you go on YouTube, there's always some videos where the quality might not be great, but the video is still great. And
Mhm.
because they delivered great content. And I also think that just in general, the way the content has shifted, I think people really enjoy and resonate sometimes with the less polished versions of videos. So, of course, a polished video is still going to be great, but I would just say don't let that deter you from taking action, because I think that we just use these, the lighting and yes, you want nice lighting, you want a nice camera, but you can get there. It doesn't have to be all set and done on day one.
Okay. This is so important to remember because I've done this same thing, just go down this spiral of, well, if I research this thing and really, I call that like procrastinating or just full on procrastinating. Like it's too scary to put myself out there. So I'll just go and research cameras.
Exactly.
and then like read the full manual of this camera when really each yoga teacher could be showing up and hitting record and hitting go on what they have. One person is saying here, Mosh is saying, the YouTube editor seems a bit clunky for me editing video. Do you have another editor that you prefer?
Yes. So I've never edited a video on YouTube. So as a free tool, I use iMovie. I use that for, I believe, 2 or 3 years. And sometimes I even still use it just because it's so user-friendly. So I definitely recommend iMovie. And if you're not if you don't want to use iMovie, I know there's also, I believe, DaVinci Resolve is a free tool as well. So there are great free tools that you can download.
Okay, so good. This is what happens. We get all of the tech questions, what video stuff, what lighting, what audio, and what editing software. So share those in the comments. Tell us what works for you, but also don't be afraid to dive in, because the sooner you can dive in and start creating your videos, the sooner people will get to know you and sign up for your things. So were there any other tips on how to move that person from watching that video to signing up for things?
Yeah, so I think, again, it goes back to making sure that your description box is very clear, and provides all the necessary resources. And sometimes you want to, maybe with the way that you're writing your description box, some words you might want to capitalize or put a little emoji there, or just something that will garner the attention. Because if you think about it, if you're scanning from top to bottom in the description box, you want the most important thing to be at the top. So you always want whatever you're trying to push at the top with a clear call to action that will divert the viewer's eye to that. And then obviously at the end of your video, when you're wrapping up the video, some people obviously do watch the video till the end. It's not that no one does that. But so at the end, you do want to just mention the call to action again. And that's where maybe you can expand a little bit more. And so that's another way to do it. And then just from a technical standpoint, I know we haven't talked about it yet, but also just making sure that you have keywords on your videos, because that's another thing that really helps you grow in the search engine. So if someone is searching for something very specific and your video pops up in Google, and then they click over to YouTube, that starts kind of the funnel of how they get into your orbit.
So those keywords, and how do we find out what keywords to use?
So one of my favorite ways is to go on youtube.com and use the search bar and just start typing things in, because it'll auto-populate how people search. And then you use those words as a keyword.
Okay, so we could start typing in yoga for or something and see what pops up first, or yoga, sleep, and see what things people are searching for. This is so good. Ooh, a great question is coming in here, and I realize that you're not a lawyer, but how important is it to put a legal disclaimer in our video, especially when we're leading movement and breath?
So I'm not a lawyer, so I can't speak to how important it is. I would say, as a novice myself, I would say just at the beginning, maybe disclaim who this is best for. And I would just give like a gentle reminder that, take it at your own pace.
Connected yoga teachers, I'm popping in again here for a minute to tell you that we do have 2 podcasts that touch on legal questions. Those are really great if you want to learn more about all of the legal things that you need to know as a yoga teacher. I'll make sure to link to both of those in the show notes over at theconnectedyogateacher.com/263. And again, don't forget, you can use our search on our website. Just go to the homepage and you can search legal and it would come up with both of those episodes.
You could add it in the description box if you have a link to your disclaimer.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Just add something as a paragraph as part of your description box and have a disclaimer there.
Right.
That's just a thought.
So do you often end up copying part of your description box for each video then?
I personally don't, because I have the upload settings default set up. So in my YouTube channel, my defaults, I have my website, all the links to all my stuff is in the default settings. So then when I end up uploading to YouTube, all I have to do is add another paragraph at the top that explains the current new video that I have just uploaded and one or two links that I might have to interchange. So there's not much that I have to physically add. I just go in for each new video and add anything that's relevant that isn't already there.
Okay. That is so great. That's a great tip, because then we can put that disclaimer in there with our website. Okay, good. Also, what about artwork for YouTube? Like, for a long time, I just heard people saying, like, this is the way your artwork should look. What's working right now?
In terms of thumbnails and graphics and stuff like that?
Yes.
Yeah. So one thing you always want to do is have a custom thumbnail. So a custom thumbnail is something you can create very simply on canva.com. They have free thumbnail templates. And the reason you just want to create a thumbnail is because it is the first thing a potential viewer is going to see. So, and it can be very simple. Like some of my videos, I have just done a simple pose, and then I've just uploaded that still image as a thumbnail. And it just looks a little bit more polished in terms of visually when you're scanning someone's YouTube channel. But in terms of what's working, I just like to keep it simple. And so sometimes I'll either just upload a photo where I'm posing in a certain way. I think specifically for yoga, that would make a lot of sense. And where you're posing a certain thing that they're going to learn in the video. But another thing that I like to do is just adding maybe a little bit of text that gives a brief overview of what the video is about. So it doesn't have to be extremely detailed, or it can just be something, the number one tip you need to know, or something like that. That's just very, boiling it down of what the video is about.
Okay. That's definitely what grabs my attention for sure, is those thumbnails that have a few words and a visual of what we might be doing as well. Oh, that's really cool. We did an interview with Nikki Knob Levy, who talked to us about how her videos where she was like laying low to the ground were getting more clicks than when she was standing up. It was like people were just feeling like, oh, I don't know if I have the energy for that at the start. Like, even though there might be standing in that flow. She found that over and over again. So how do we check in with, okay, what is working with my videos?
It's really all about trial and error and seeing what works. So you have to start somewhere in order to start gathering data, right? So choose one or the other and put it up, and then see if it is performing well to like what your standards are on your channel. And then you can adjust it from there. There's definitely been times where a thumbnail, like a video, just wasn't doing well. And then I changed it out and then it did better. I maybe adjusted the text to be less, or I just removed the text. Or you can change the title of the video. So there's a lot of things you can do, but you just have to start somewhere. And I think, especially when you're just starting out, you're getting back into a routine with your channel, your audience will tell you what they like and what they don't, or what they resonate with, what they don't resonate with.
Now, you just said getting back into a routine with your channel. What do you recommend? And does YouTube care if we're putting stuff on there on a regular basis?
I think, as with any online platform, they do care about they do prefer when you upload regularly. Now, I'm not saying that you necessarily have to do that. It depends on your business. But when you're getting back into a routine, I think one video a week is more than enough. And that way you start getting to a routine. YouTube's starting to recognize, oh, this person's uploading again. We can start to push their content through the platform. And yeah, so I think that's where you want to start. But I do also want to just put a disclaimer and say you don't have to upload weekly in order for YouTube to work for your business if that's not what you're looking to do.
Okay, good to know. I wonder if you have some tips, because if I think about, oh gosh, I have to do this every week, I mean, my mind automatically goes to batching maybe 4 videos and then scheduling them.
Yes. So I like to batch film as well. I mean, there's definitely been times where I'll just film in the moment and upload it that week, depending on the season I'm in or the topic that I want to talk about. But I tend to batch film. And yeah, so in terms of tips, I would just see what works with your energy level in terms of batching, because I know that filming 4 to 5 videos in one sitting can be exhausting. And I actually teach my students a method where I film it over several, like 2 days, or I just like to see what works with my energy level. So I would map out 3 to 5 video topics and then see how far you get. I wouldn't put too much pressure on yourself, but I think even if you can just film 3 videos in one day, that's 3 videos. That's 3 weeks of content. So you have a great head start.
Oh, that's so good. And then how long should those videos be? Is there a magic number, especially when we're talking about yoga? I know some yoga teachers will put like a full 20, 40, an hour and a half class online, whereas other people are saying, oh no, I have the best luck with like shorter videos and then leading people to my longer classes somewhere else. So what tips do you have about video length?
So I agree with the second option that you mentioned of you have to, it goes back to, again, you have to start getting your audience used to watching you on video, and they also, and then you have to build up their watch time. So there definitely is something to be said about having shorter length videos. And then as you grow your audience or you get, more views on what your content, that's when you can start creating longer form videos. There's nothing wrong with having long form videos on YouTube. I like watching long videos, but I'm a person that is used to watching long videos on YouTube. So it just depends on your audience. Again, testing it out. But if you're putting up a lot of long videos and nothing's really happening, start doing these shorter videos where you give people bite-sized, pieces of value that they can then consume at their own pace, and then they get into a rhythm, and then they're like, wow, like I actually want more of this person. Now let me click into a longer form video.
Hey, connected yoga teachers, I'm popping in again to ask you, are you going to the Yoga Teacher Conf that's happening April 22nd to the 24th in Denver, Colorado? If you are, make sure to connect with me and tell me, because I will also be there. I cannot wait. I think it's going to be amazing. I've heard from some of you who are attending. I can't wait till we can get together and chat and connect, learn together, maybe go out for dinner together. How fun is it going to be to see each other live and in person? And if you can't make it in person, I've just heard from Allison, who's put the conference all together, that there is going to be an option for some of the sessions to be a hybrid model where it's live and also there's an online version. And I said, yes, like sign me up for that for my Yoga for Pelvic Health session. So if you cannot make it there, if it's too far to fly, or if you're hanging out close to home due to the pandemic, I completely understand. Whatever reason, if you cannot make it live, but you want to sign up for the live virtual option and the replay, make sure to head on over to yogateacherconf.com. That's yogateacherconf.com. Okay, let's get back to our interview with Victoria, where we're learning more about YouTube. One person is asking, music can be nice to add to a video, but music that you don't have legal license to can get you into trouble. I use Epidemic music and haven't had any issue. Do you have some suggestions around music for YouTube videos?
Yeah, so I do like epidemic sound, but I actually just use the YouTube music library because YouTube provides it. I know I won't have any issues, and it's free. So I like to go, if you're in the creator studio, there should be a music section on the left hand side, a music library, and then I just filter through there, download whatever song I like, and add that in.
Oh, that's so great to do that. Okay. Fantastic. I'm so glad that someone mentioned this as well. I totally did not think about music. One of our yoga teachers on Instagram sent a really technical, great question. Kristen asked, what about when we have students who are paying for our offerings and we only want those students to be able to see our YouTube videos? How do we do that? How do we make it so that there's sort of a paywall to this?
Right. So what you want to do is you want to upload your videos as unlisted, because that means only the people that can see the link or that you've sent the link to can watch that video. So what I would do is, and I have videos on my channel that no one can see, but only my paying clients can see those videos because they're unlisted. So you can upload them as unlisted. I believe you can also create unlisted playlists. So if you have a whole bunch of videos, put them in a playlist, put it as unlisted, and then just send that link to your clients. And that way, only the paying clients will have access to it. So the only thing that I will say is if they stop paying you as a client, they would theoretically still have access to those videos through that link. So there there isn't a paywall. Well, there is theoretically a paywall for like huge creators, but we're not talking about that right now. So there isn't a paywall for the average YouTube channel right as of right now.
Okay, that's so good to know. And that's where things like when we were talking earlier about OfferingTree, you can host your videos on there. People have access through that. They log in, the YouTube video shows up when they pay, and then let's say their membership runs out or the time runs out for that offering, then they lose access to that unless they save that YouTube link or something. And I think the other thing that can be happening is people could be sharing that YouTube link, and I get to the point where I'm like, okay, if someone feels like they really need this, they really need to share it with their friend. Usually it's something that isn't that big of a deal. But you might want to look at that if you had like if you were growing a large membership or didn't want that getting out to other people. What also helps our videos to perform better? Because when we put all of this effort into creating these videos, and then we sit back and we think, "Oh my gosh, nobody's watching my videos." What might we start to look at then?
Yeah. So first things first, making sure that you have a custom thumbnail, because that's really the invitation to someone to click on your video. Because if the thumbnail, I know it sounds harsh, but if the thumbnail isn't enticing or inviting or just, then people might not click on it. And so that's the one thing that I always do for all my videos. And again, it can be very simple. The other thing is the title of your video. With the title, you want to make sure you're specific of what the video entails, because sometimes I see videos where it just says 20-minute flow. And I agree, it's a 20-minute flow. I can base it off of the timestamp on the video. But what are we going to be doing in like flow for relaxation, like you know stress removing flow, or something that is more specific to why do I need to do this flow? Why do I need to click into this? I think that's really important. Uh, and or thinking about the one thing you should know as a yoga teacher. Like, I'm going to click into that video. I want to know the one thing I need to know as a yoga teacher. So the
Right.
title is very important. The third thing is, of course, keywords on your YouTube videos. And I will say keywords aren't going to make or break your YouTube video, but it certainly helps. It's like with anything, like, why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you give yourself that boost? Like, fill out the entire form, to make sure that you're getting all the benefits of YouTube. So with keywords, you want to add your own name or your own YouTube channel name as a keyword, because you want to make sure people can find you when they're searching for your name or your business. And then obviously you want keywords related to that specific video. So if I'm doing a, stress relieving flow, I'm going to type in stress relieving flow, yoga against stress or something like that, where you want to explain in as many different variations as possible what the video is about. So that's why when I upload to YouTube, I have a separate window open I just go to youtube.com and I go into the search bar and I see what auto populates for that specific video that I'm uploading. And then I just take some of these words. And another thing that I haven't mentioned yet, but I highly recommend downloading TubeBuddy. It's a free browser extension. And it's tubebuddy.com, I believe. But if you Google TubeBuddy, it should come up. And that's a really, really great tool because you can see what other people are using for their keywords. So and obviously you don't want to copy the exact same words, but you can get some inspiration of, oh, this video did really well. These are the keywords that they use. Like, what are some of the keywords that might be related to my content for this specific video? It just gets your wheels turning on how to use keywords in a more strategic way for your own videos.
Okay, that's so helpful. TubeBuddy.com. All right. I wonder, for those of you who are here live or watching the replay, what other questions do you have? We have time to fit them in. Your questions have been amazing here. And also, I'd love to know if you're setting a goal of getting your YouTube, back or up and running. What's your goal? Like, can you do once a week? Can you do once a month? Tell us what the goal is, and also keep in mind that end goal of where is this taking you? So, Victoria, do you want to talk a bit about how you set up a strategy? Like, let's say our whole goal in our business as a yoga teacher is to get people to sign up for our yoga classes or our one-on-one sessions. How do we start to think about YouTube in that way?
Right. So I think first I'd like to mention that I think you have to look at YouTube and video in a way that will work for your business. So I never like to think about, oh, I need to add YouTube to my business or I need to add video to my business. It's about how can we use YouTube for your business? So, reinventing the wheel of how we approach YouTube and video content in general. So with YouTube, like I said, aside of the weekly content, also creating videos where you are showcasing your work or showcasing maybe like for the online classes, maybe you upload a member library tour video where people who aren't members yet or people who aren't clients yet, they get a behind the scenes of how it is to work with you, or how it is, like, how does the member area look like once they sign up for your membership or your course, or like, what is your process like? And I think specifically with yoga teachers, I see a lot of people who just do flow videos where they're in action, where they're moving their body. And obviously that's important, but there's also something to be said about those sit down videos where I, as a viewer, get to know you a little bit more. I want to know, how did you become a yoga teacher? Why are you doing this? Like, and maybe more about how you were telling clients stories and just giving a more in-depth look at your business. Because yes, I can watch your yoga flows and those are all great, but I also want to get to know the person a little bit more, because once you get to know the person, then I'm at the point of, wow, I want to work with this person one-on-one. I actually want to connect with them more deeply. And you gave me the opportunity to get to know you through your videos.
I love this so much. And there's so many things that yoga teachers could sit down and talk about. I was just having a conversation this weekend with a good friend of mine, Betty, who's a yoga teacher. She taught her students, they talked all about pausing the entire class, the entire theme was all about pausing. And then she had some amazing feedback from one of the students, how they carried this out into their day-to-day stuff. And those are the stories that, I would love to hear those on a YouTube channel about how can we work this in. Here's a few examples of how you could pause through your practice, and then can you take this into your day-to-day life? Oh, that's so good. Also, I love YouTube videos where, something like they put the blooper reel in or their cat walks in front of the screen, like things that aren't planned out, and you get to see how people react. Uh, oh, this is a great question. Someone asked, "How do you get your channel monetized?" This question wasn't asked already. How do we do that?
So with YouTube specifically, you would join the YouTube monetization program by having 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. So you need to have both. So if you have 1,000 subscribers but you don't have 4,000 watch hours, you're not yet eligible. So you need to have both of those. I will also say though, it takes a lot to make a lot of money on YouTube just from the AdSense. So I wouldn't bank on that as your main strategy to monetize your YouTube channel. The main way you can monetize your YouTube channel is by directing people to what you have linked in the description box and falling in love with your content and wanting to work with you as a business owner.
Oh, that's so good because that's tempting to do. And it takes a while to build up to 1,000 subscribers. Nicole, thank you for that question. And I'm so curious if you have a specific offering, tell us about it here in the comments so that we can see, okay, can you already see how that would work to pull people from watching your YouTube to signing up for your offerings? That's so good. This is one thing that we get asked about the podcast a lot as well. Everyone's on about how do you monetize a podcast? It's the same thing. You have to be ready to put your own offerings out there because you're not, someone's not just going to show up and say, okay, you're a famous YouTuber now and I want to sponsor you. Or you're going to make thousands of dollars from YouTube. I love it that this is even a thing now, though, that I will ask kids, what are you thinking of doing when you grow up? When they're younger, and they'll say, I'm going to be a famous YouTuber. It wasn't a thing when I was a kid.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Anything else that you can think of that would help our yoga teachers as they are, it could be a challenge to put regular videos out there or to feel like, oh, how could I get more people watching them? Anything else with that?
Yeah, I think it just goes back to creating content that your people are looking to see from you. So I think part of that is really polling your audience. No matter how big or small your audience is, you can ask a friend, a family member, people that you know, past students of what type of content would they like to see from you and creating content around that. I think that's always really powerful. And then just again, looking at where are you promoting your videos because you don't want to get caught up in that hamster wheel of just pushing out content and already thinking about your next video when you haven't fully dedicated the promotional time to the one that's currently out there. So maybe don't upload every single week if you have a backlog of videos that are incredible, that are evergreen, that you can go back and just maybe update the thumbnail, maybe update the title, or just send an email out to your list, or just talk about it online and say, hey, I have this really great video that I think you'll enjoy. Check it out here. You really have to give yourself the chance to talk about it more and not get caught up in just always thinking about what is next or what lighting or what camera I need to use. It's just like we got to fully optimize what you already have created and give your audience the time to take action on it.
Okay, that's so helpful. Thank you for that. Aruna is here saying, I'm curious about how YouTube ads work because what if I put a video up about my niche and then an ad comes up for someone else in my niche?
So you can't control the specific ads that come prior to your video. I believe you can filter out certain categories, but I don't think you have more control over than that. I will say though, I mean, I'm not a YouTube ads person. I don't do YouTube ads in my business. So I can't speak to how they work specifically, but I wouldn't be too concerned with that, because ultimately the person who clicked into your video for a reason, and they're going to want to watch your video.
Yes. Yes. And as someone who consumes YouTube, like you see the same ads over and over again. Like they get to know what you're searching for and they will target ads. And so I love this answer. Aruna, you've got a really clear niche, teaching children's yoga. And so I think the odds of someone coming up, there might be a yoga video that pops up, but it's probably not going to be a children's yoga video. Amazing questions. Okay. So Aruna's saying, thank you. That's reassuring. Oh my gosh. Everyone, thank you for being here. Thank you, Victoria, for being here and sharing all of this with us. So how do we learn more? Because I know that you have a big library of stuff. Where do we go? How do we learn more from you?
So you can go to my website. It's probably the best place because I have linked everything there, victorialevitan.com. There's a link to my YouTube channel there. There's a link to my free YouTube Jumpstart guide there. I have a whole bunch of blog articles as well if you would prefer to read my YouTube videos. So I have something for everyone. And yeah, that's how you can keep in touch with me.
Thank you so much, Victoria. It's been fantastic to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Shannon.
Alrighty, connected yoga teachers, I want to hear from you. What did you learn today about YouTube? Are you feeling inspired to try it out? Remember, just do one thing today. So if you learned one thing in this interview with Victoria, go and put that on your task list. If it feels like it's going to support your business, if it's going to grow your business or simplify things in some way, add it to your to-do list and make sure it's just one thing. Don't make a list of 500 things to do after today. Just do one thing at a time, and it doesn't have to be perfect right away. So remember that, please. I feel like we have grown our YouTube channel. I'll make sure to link to it in the show notes. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We've grown it in a very slow way over the last 5 years, and it was never my goal to grow our podcast using YouTube, although it has definitely helped. We have people who go over to our YouTube channel and listen to podcasts from there. Thank you again, Victoria, for all of this information today, for helping our connected yoga teachers, and also for offering this YouTube channel audit. If you're wanting this, connected yoga teachers, I'll make sure to link to it in the show notes. That's over at theconnectedyogateacher.com/263. And this is where Victoria will do a custom audit for your YouTube channel if you already have one up and going and you'd like some tips and ideas on how to strengthen that. Also, make sure to follow Victoria on YouTube. She has lots of videos on there. She's amazing to learn from. And I cannot wait to hear your stories of how this helps you with YouTube. Make sure to also check out our show notes for all of the links. We linked to an article about audio, video, and the lighting, also a tech guide for online yoga, what Victoria uses for editing, and also we did an episode with Nikki Knob-Levy where she talked about growing your online business. So we'll link to all of those in the show notes over at theconnectedyogateacher.com/263. I want to say a special thank you to 2 of our podcast listeners. First of all is Monique Lawson, who said, "I'm so thankful for this podcast and the Connected Yoga Teacher group. In the beginning, it helped me to get through the nerves of being a new teacher. And now, a little further along the path, I'm still deepening my knowledge with the podcast and the amazing community in the Connected Yoga Teacher group." Thank you so much, Monique, for leaving this review and also for being part of our supportive community over in our Facebook group. Connected Yoga Teachers, if you're not already in our Facebook group, come and join us. We have over 11,000, can you believe it? 11,000 yoga teachers from around the world offering support, asking questions. Oh my gosh, this group is a wealth of knowledge and it's free. You can find it by going to theconnectedyogateacher.com and the button is right there on our homepage. Another shout out goes to a listener, Rebecca. Thank you so much for sharing this with me and allowing me to share it on the podcast. Rebecca says, I recently completed the online Yoga for Pelvic Health course. I've struggled with my own pelvic health for many years. This course has given me the tools to heal myself. This course provides specific tools and the freedom to create tailored yoga sessions for folks who are dealing with a variety of pelvic floor concerns. I cannot wait to share this knowledge with my students. Thank you so much, Rebecca. I'm glad that you are finding value in that Yoga for Pelvic Health course. For any of our connected yoga teachers who are interested in this course, I'll make sure that I link to it in the show notes. And also keep an eye out for pelvic health professionals. I'll link to that as well. Those are two different things. There's either a 20-hour Yoga for Pelvic Health training, or we have a monthly membership where you can continuously learn about pelvic health and all of the different aspects. So I'll make sure to link to both of those in the show notes. And if you have questions about either one, make sure to reach out to me. Do you want to hear what's happening next week on the podcast? I am going to tell you because you're here all the way to the end. Next week, we're going to be talking with my very good friend, Denite, and I cannot wait until you hear this episode. You know what it's like to be a yoga teacher and to understand that you help people with different issues that they're facing, different problems like sleep or stress or pain, but you don't want to highlight or poke at or make people feel worse about the issue or the condition that they're dealing with. At the same time, we want to tell people how we help to solve the problem. We just don't want to aggravate this pain. And that is why I'm so excited that you get to learn how to do this in a really beautiful way. So Denite is an expert in marketing, and also I love her style of marketing. I cannot wait until you hear next week's episode. So we'll see you then. Oh, also, huge thank you to our entire team who helped produce today's episode. Our audio engineer, Suzanne, our traveling writer, Crunch, and our community support manager, Sinead. Also, huge thank you to you for being here all the way until the end of today's episode, and also for doing all of the work that you're doing in this world, sharing yoga, helping people every single day. Thank you so much. So here's the question of the week. What are you going to do this week to stay connected to yourself, your yoga practice, and to your community so that you can share the yoga that lights you up?